Democrats are going to study the language and syntax of young men as if they're some kind of primitive tribe in the Amazon. They're going to send in their anthropologists to study men, live among them, learn the ways of their people. Here's a conversation the Democrats are having, a pretty funny one. The Post-Millennial reports that still don't know why they lost so badly to Donald Trump in the 2024 election, and their attempt to try to figure it out and remedy the situation lies in a new program they're calling Speaking with American Men, a Strategic Plan, nicknamed SAM. New York Times writes, 6 months after President Trump swept the battleground states, the Democrat Party is still sifting through the wreckage. Democrat donors and strategists have been gathering at luxury hotels to discuss how to win back working-class voters, commissioning new projects that can read like anthropological studies of people from faraway places. The new initiative from the Democrat Party is budgeted at $20 million, and per the Times, aims to reverse the erosion of Democrat support among young men, especially online. The project is planning to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. Dems are encouraging the purchase of in-game ads as a means of skewing young men towards the progressive ideology. Above all, the plan reads, we must shift from a moralizing tone. So there's the grand plan, $20 million, Speaking with American Men is what they're calling it. They're going to study the language and syntax of young men as if they're some kind of primitive tribe in the Amazon. They're going to send in their anthropologists to study men, live among them, learn the ways of their people. They need their version of Jane Goodall or Steve Irwin or something. They'll start producing nature documentaries that follow groups of 24-year-old male humans around. That seems to be the strategy, basically. And yet the strategy has already failed because they're missing the point. Which first of all, you don't connect with young people or with men or any group just by adopting their language and their slang. That strategy has never worked. Youth pastors have been trying that strategy for 40 years, and it's a cringe fest every single time. Okay, ask the youth pastors how well that's working out. It never works, and it especially won't work with young men as a group, because men value authenticity, and that's what it means to be cool. Cool is not using certain slang or certain language. Cool is being confident. It's being, unbothered, not trying to be something that you aren't. And that's the attitude that men appreciate. It's one that says, hey, this is who I am. This is what I care about. And this is how I speak. And I don't care if you don't like it. That's the whole reason that Trump connects with people. Or that's half of the reason why Trump connects with people. We'll get to the other half. But, one big reason is that Trump is authentic. He talks how he talks. He acts how he acts. He's not trying to be like anyone else. He's one of one. He's a unique entity in every sense, and so he's not trying to be like anyone. People try to be like him. He's setting trends. He's not following them. So, that's why Trump is like 80 years old, almost 80 years old, and he's still the coolest politician in America by a mile for this reason. So the Democrats are off on the wrong foot right out of the gate. And also, they say that they want to get rid of their moralizing tone. That's another, and we hear this too from Democrats who are doing the kind of post-mortem analysis of why their party lost so badly in the last election. We hear this bit about moralizing. Stop preaching. Stop moralizing. Well, that's not exactly the problem. Young men have no problem with moralizing per se. The problem with Democrat moralizing is that it's wrong. It's wrong. And degrading and resentful and spiteful towards men in particular. So their version of moralizing is to say that men have toxic masculinity and they need to start acting more like girls. So the problem there is not the moralizing per se, but the content of the moralizing. Because what do we mean by moralizing? That just means, in the most literal sense, it just means taking a position on what is right or wrong. Now, I guess the term sort of implies haughtiness. It implies you're taking a kind of holier than thou tone, which is bad. But the part where you take a position on what's right or wrong and you try to defend it and persuade other people to agree with you, there's nothing wrong with that in principle. Making a moral argument, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good, actually, because that's people connect with that. The problem is that for Democrats, it's not that they were taking moral positions, it's that they were taking the wrong moral positions. Their morals are wrong. Nothing wrong with having morals. The issue is that they have the wrong morals. They have an inverted, perverse morality. And that is what alienates men. Which brings us to the last point, because when you go back to Donald Trump, he's the coolest politician of our lifetime. He connects with men. He connects with young men. Partly that's because his style is authentic and confident, which makes it cool by definition. But then there's the other part, which is that young men are not morons. And this is news to Democrats, I realize, but because they fundamentally despise men, especially young men. But young men are not stupid. They do actually care about the issues. So the main reason why Trump resonates with men, with voters generally, but with men in particular, is that they agree with him on the issues. They like his policy positions. Trump won the presidency twice mainly because he believes in national sovereignty and he believes in law and order. And men want that. Americans in general want that. Men in particular want that. And they value it. So this is why Democrats are screwed, because they want to tell themselves that their problem is a stylistic one, and they just need to adjust, right, their stylistic approach. But the style is bad. They do have the wrong, but it's deeper than that. There's also a substance problem. The way that they're selling their positions is they're selling them the wrong way. But then also the positions themselves, the substance of the position alienates men. Men are not interested in it. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.